everybody, and welcome to the Paredox podcast. I'm Gabe, that's Andrew, and you are listening to the only and number one podcast by Orthodox Christians for dads.
From Missouri.
We are number one.
Yeah.
Go us. Go us.
Yeah.
And as you can see, you don't have to look at my trashy blinds anymore in the background, so we kind of changed things up a little bit. We're sitting next to each other. Maybe this is more aesthetically pleasing. I feel like the color looks a lot better. More true to our pasty whiteness.
Yeah,
that's
it's
for
a
sure.
little synth wavy too. So
it is. It is. And as you can see, one side is blue, one side is pink. Totally unintentional. If you would like to like and subscribe, down at the bottom, go ahead and click the notification bell and the subscription button down at the bottom. That would greatly help us slay the dragon that is the YouTube algorithm.
Okay, sure. I was like, boy, where's he going with
this one? So we are two Orthodox dads. We are two Orthodox Christians. As we were saying in the last podcast, which will never see air, and we'll talk about that in a minute. Orthodoxy, or being Orthodox Christian dads, and this podcast being about dads, we actually talk about orthodoxy more than we talk about being dads, which is fine.
Okay, sure.
So this could be, for some regular Christian folks stumbling in the YouTube verse and going like, what's this all about? We do talk a lot about orthodoxy, but we try to focus on what it's like to be dads, because that life is pretty dang interesting, I would say.
That's true.
So, Andrew, as we do with every episode, disclaimer, these people about the Orthodox Church.
I don't know why I do this I forget every time that I'm supposed to do this.
We've only done literally 4 episodes, so.
Oh, I guess that is true.
One which will never be aired.
So we are just two Orthodox laymen. We don't know anything.
Nope.
We don't know enough for you to go entirely based off of what we say.
There we go.
So if you hear something and you want further explanation from it, if you want to reach out to us, that's fine.
Yes.
Or if you want to talk with your spiritual father about that as well too. So if we say anything that's wrong, point it out to us, and we'll double check. And if we were wrong, we'll apologize, and if not, we'll find out, why we weren't or something like that.
We'll do our best to correct it.
We'll do our best to correct it.
We'll do our best. Hopefully that's not a child vomiting.
No. No. Oh, man. No. Yeah.
Oh, so let's kick it off here and talk about the last... Okay. Go ahead.
No, that's what you are going to talk about.
Because
I was going to say, I feel like that the last recording or the last time we sat down.
Which one do you want to do?
Okay. So the reason why Gabe just said that is because my phone just vibrated, and last week we sat down to record, and then my wife texted me and said my sweet little 6-month-old baby Matrona had thrown up like 4 or 5 times.
Right.
And my wife was very worried about it.
She was very worried.
I wasn't worried.
You were super calm. And you know what? We're going to talk about the differences between men and women here in a minute. But go, please continue your story.
Well, it's very hard not to worry.
Yes.
It's very hard to it's very easy to panic about stuff like that. I think my wife is particularly susceptible to that. But I knew that my sweet mother-in-law, who I love to death, is a great, great woman.
Yes.
I love her. But was just ram-jamming food down my baby's throat during dinner. Just like
ram jamming?
Yeah, just like had this bowl of oatmeal and a bowl of sweet potatoes, and we're just like shoving food down this child's throat. And I even thought about saying something during dinner, because she's like loading up the spoon and be like into my baby's mouth, like not like that, like putting it into my baby's mouth,
ram jamming it. Yeah. Yep.
And the way I feed her is I take like a third of the spoon, this little tiny baby spoon, and gently set it betwixt my baby's lips.
Betwixt.
And then, ever so delicately pull it back out, because she's just a baby and she doesn't know how to handle food yet. And as soon as my wife said that little Matrona had thrown up, I knew exactly what had happened. And I was even on the phone, and I was like, telling my wife, I was like, yeah, what color is it? And I was like, yeah, she's starting to get to the end of it. Like, because I know that the pumpkin was second, or the sweet potato was second, the oatmeal was first. So it was like, if it's not orange anymore.
So real quick, you fed her both sweet potato and oatmeal?
I just want to make it very clear. I fed her nothing. I did not feed her a single thing. Yes, it was oatmeal and then sweet potato, and like usually it's maybe half of one of those. So to get both of them, it's like that's.
I'm already hitting the panic. I'm hitting the alarm button. Like I'm like, wait.
So,
okay.
But I saw this happening during dinner, and I even thought about saying something, but I listened to the wrong voice, and I said, "No, bro, don't always be so critical. Like, don't always be pointing out everything, because I love my mother-in-law,
right?
And we have a very good chemistry, a very good dynamic,
right?
But like, I am pretty hard on her about some stuff.
Sure.
Then I feel like I need to be, and that's okay. I love this woman to death. But I'm kind of hard on her, so I was like trying to dial it back a little bit, and that's what happens. That's what happens when I don't stick my ground on something. So a little maturity is fine.
You were very. You almost were like, this isn't really a big deal.
It's not.
You're like, I'm going to go home because, and I even told you to go home because of your wife.
Because of my wife.
She sounded almost in tears. Like she sounded really freaked out.
Make no mistake, the demons have a special relationship with women. Mm-hmm. I can tell you that. I mean, it's not like St. John Chrysostom talks about this. He talks about that like women are weaker than men. Not because of their gender, not because a woman is inherently made weaker by God. It was because they fell into deception first.
Interesting.
That's why the man is the head of the household. And he even talks about in reverse situations where if a man falls into deception and the woman is the strong Christian woman in the marriage, she becomes the head of the household for all intents and purposes, spiritually. So it's about who fell into deception first. So it's not about one is inherently better than the other. It's just that one has a special relationship with demons. So I think it's been my experience, men tend to be more, I hate to use the word stoic about stuff like that, but we tend to be a little bit more
pragmatic, stoic, just kind of like calmer.
Just more calm. Be like, take it easy. This is not that big of a deal.
Sure.
Like, babies fall, babies throw up, babies poop themselves. Like, in all that.
I gotta take notes. Babies poop themselves.
Yeah, get a pen, bro.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be spitting out wisdom like this all night.
I'm like, babies poop themselves.
Underline. But yeah, so there has to be special accommodations made for that.
Okay.
Of like, yeah, my wife is like, no, I don't think it's. I think it's kind of silly, this thing that she's getting upset about, but I still have to kind of walk her through it a little bit.
Sure. So speaking of St. John Chrysostom, I want to bring so I told you when I was walking you out last week when we were like, well, that's not going to happen. And then we'll get to the ill-fated podcast that will never see air. But I told you last week I did something I've never done before, and I've been Orthodox for over 10 years now.
Sure.
Again, as I've stated before, I'm just not the guy that quotes the church fathers. Sure. I'm not a guy that quotes scripture. I just show up and do my best.
Sure.
That's literally the best way I can put it.
I've always been a quoter.
Gabe's experience in Orthodoxy is show up.
Sure.
And do the best you can.
Sure. No, and what I'm saying, that doesn't inherently make me stronger. It just, I've always been a quoter. I quoted everything all the time. I've quoted movies, I've quoted books and stuff my entire life.
Okay.
And that just transitioned into Orthodoxy.
Well, that's good, because they're like, well, when St. Isaac the Syrian, I'm like, and I just stare at him and I'm like, that's really good, whatever that was. But I did quote St. John Chrysostom to a friend that was having some struggles with shame. And then I said, and the quote is, pay attention carefully. After the sin comes shame. Courage follows repentance. Did you pay attention to what I said? Satan upsets the order. He gives the courage to sin and the shame to repentance.
Sure.
Dude.
God inverts it. Yeah. No, he is. So.
I mean, first of all, yeah.
I can't speak enough about St. John Chrysostom. He's a very important saint to me. Yeah. He's my household saint.
Okay.
He's my Slava saint.
Ours is Joachim and Anna.
Oh, for real?
Yeah.
Yeah. Joachim and Anna are legit.
Yeah.
Like, one of the reasons that I got attracted to St. John Chrysostom is I was listening to this priest monk, Father Cosmas. I talk about him quite a bit.
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah, he is fantastic.
Fantastic.
But he talks about when he said one time in one of his talks, he's like, when I quote St. John Chrysostom, you stand up. Like, he's like, you're supposed to stand up when you quote St. John Chrysostom.
Amen to that.
And he's like, he kind of later, like, expanded on that and kind of like maybe kind of was like, okay, maybe that's not really what the quote meant, because I think he's quoting someone else, but he's like, you stand up mentally. When you see St. John Chrysostom or any of the church fathers, you're really supposed to stand up mentally and be like, okay, what is going on here? Don't just kind of blow through the quote, because sometimes I do that. It'll be like by like St. Porphyrios or something like that. Forgive me. You know, I'll just kind of blow through. It's going to have something to do with love, you know, so I'm going to kind of blow through it a little bit.
Right.
I shouldn't do that. St. Porphyrios is wonderful. I've prayed to him many times. Yeah, I love St. Porphyrios. There's nothing wrong with him. But St. John, you, like, pay attention. Like, it's like, no, he is the mouthpiece for St. Paul, and St. Paul was the mouthpiece for Christ.
Right.
So St. John cannot be, he's
the best.
Full of one-liners, too.
Dude.
He's full of just sit down. Like mic drop. Like, one of my favorite quotes, he says, I got a million of them. I'll keep it to just one. One of my favorite ones is he's talking about people who don't help poor people. It's like, sometimes people will leave church and literally walk over homeless people. And when they go home and they say their evening prayers, they're not even worried about being struck by lightning. And I'm like, dude, you are awesome. I love this dude.
Yeah.
But I can't. I'll stop because I'll keep going. I have a great love for St. John Chrysostom. So.
And I sent that to a Protestant friend of mine.
Oh, and it got through,
dude.
Yeah.
And this man has been circling our church for a while. He really, you know, I admire the zeal of Protestants sometimes, and and their undying like love, you know, and they're just like, man, it's just like, you know, just I'm walking my jaywalk or whatever. I don't know the lingo, honestly. Like, people get disappointed in me. Father always makes fun of me because I have no idea. Like, he came up to me, our priest came up to me the other day, squeezed my shoulder, and he goes, "How's your jaywalk?" And I was like, "What are you talking about?" And then he started laughing, and then he was like, "Oh, that's right. You weren't a Protestant or anything before." And I was like, "No, man."
I think one of the reasons why you might envy Protestant is because you were never one. I tell you, man, that energy that they feel, that quote-unquote love and stuff that they have, it's... I mean, it is what it is, but it's like, it's not like Protestants don't love God. I definitely have met many Protestants that love God.
Totally.
And I quote some Protestants, like C.S. Lewis is great, like J.K. Chesterton, I think was a Catholic, or an Anglican.
He was either, I can't remember, he was either a Catholic or an Anglican, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. Yeah, but like, I'm not talking about Protestantism on the whole. I'm talking about that love thing, quote unquote. They're like, brother, what's going on? Like, you know, like, I don't know, for some reason they're always barefoot. Like, I don't know what's good. Like,
my buddy's always barefoot, but it's for a totally different reason.
And like, they've got like a Bible with them, and it's some kind of like extreme or something like that, or like, I don't know what the scene is these days, but that's how it was when I was a Protestant. And like, it's like zeal according to like, quote unquote knowledge, but it's not like knowledge. It's zeal according to like gushy, warm, squishy, emotional feelings that like, I was like, that's not been my experience with God. Like, my experience with God has been, no, this
painful,
is brutal. This is brutal.
Yeah.
Like, this is insanely difficult. And like, the implications of Christ, I'll say this. I have seen many Protestants get noticeably uncomfortable when I, as an Orthodox person, talk about seeing an actual piece of the true cross. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Because they're like, the physical reality of that thing sets in, and suddenly the reality of God is not so subjective anymore.
Right.
And God's not whatever they wanted to be. He's like, oh, wait, he has like this nature behind him. He's actually like this person. He's like my buddy Chuck. Like, Chuck doesn't like lemons, so don't put anything in lemon. But you spend enough time away from Chuck, like, oh, Chuck, you know, he's got a so-so stance on lemons, and you hang out with Chuck again, you're like, oh, wow, I was really wrong about Chuck. You know, and like, that's this whole thing with God, is just like, they come in and they're like, you know, I don't know. It's not all. Like, I'm just talking about this specific type of person that we're talking about right now. So, yeah.
No, I mean, but I because I'm a feely guy.
Sure.
And as I've stated before many a times, I just go off of like what intrinsically usually feels good and or right for me. And that's what actually led me to Orthodoxy, because I was like, oh, like this feels like the correct way to worship, because if this person created the heavens and the earth, like it's not always going to be sunshine and roses, because there's a certain level of respect and reverence that you have to have. He's not hanging out with you like, but they always look at like, oh, but he,
he ate with the harlots.
Right. They always point to that stuff, and I'm like, yeah, but there's always a yeah, but. This is
the problem with almost every single heresy, is that they want to look at one aspect of God and not the other.
Right.
This is the problem with almost every single heresy, is that they're not willing to acknowledge that like God is more complicated than that. Right. And like that's one of the most frustrating parts of being Orthodox, is outside of a certain couple conversations you're going to have with the spiritual father, at a certain point like you're going to run into, well, it is and it isn't. Because it's like, well, yeah, the truth is way bigger than you can imagine. Right. So, like, you're seeing things from this, like, black and white perspective. And in some ways, yes, it definitely is black and white. But then there's this, like, whole other dynamic behind it. So,
but, I mean, back to my original point. I mean, because I'm so touchy-feely, I admire especially with this certain person I'm talking about, great friend of mine. He's an awesome guy. And I just love how much he trusts the Lord. Like the Lord's got this, man. You know what I mean? And I wish I could have that kind of just hands off, like trust fall into Jesus's arms kind of thing. Sure. As crazy as that sounds, but like I just admire how feely they are, I guess. Yeah. And again, I've ran into some Protestants and I'm like, you're putting on an act.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I went to a Pentecostal church, and sorry to all you Pentecostals out there. I went to a Pentecostal church when I was 22 years old, and that made me leave any kind of religion or church for years, because man, we might get some flack for this, but oh well.
I don't
probably not, because no one listens.
Yeah, no one listens to this. Yeah.
But I literally I walked. I mean, they're doing the thing.
Yeah.
They're doing the thing. There's a tambourine out. There's screaming. There's convulsing.
There's some flags.
Yeah. And I looked around and I said, "You all are acting."
Yeah. No, they're not. No,
they're not?
No. Have you ever read Orthodoxy and the Religion of the Future by Father?
His point of view, yes.
Yeah,
yes.
It's like no, they are inhibiting. They're it is a spirit there. There's without a doubt, they're opening up themselves to something. It's not more.
But my 22-year-old self is looking at that, going, y'all are acting. This is all a show for each other, for whatever.
Sure.
And I remember I went with an ex-girlfriend of mine who was a Pentecostal, and I walked out and she goes, "How'd you like it?"
Yeah, and I didn't.
Straight up looked at her and I said, "I will never do this with you again." Yeah. I said, "What that in there? I don't know what all that stuff is." And I said, "But that's not a God I want to worship. Yeah. Whatever's going on inside that temple or whatever you want to call it, sign me out."
Yeah.
Sign me out. And that took me away from religion for years.
As it would, as it should.
Well, because it was, I swear to God. So some band was playing, and the priest came up through the floor. I kid you not.
Oh wow!
Came up through the floor. His sermon was a mixture, because it probably wasn't when I was 22. Anyways, his sermon was around the Gore Bush debacle, the who's being elected.
Oh,
when that whole thing was up in the air, and he was saying how in the Bible it says that George Bush was going to be elected.
Well, I mean, he wasn't wrong, so maybe he was onto something,
But, and I'm sitting there having no knowledge of the Bible, and go, I know it doesn't say that.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, he's not saying it said it verbatim, but he said in Leviticus or whatever, he quoted some scripture that said that a great man will rise from and lead a country to prominence, and that's George Bush. And I was like, okay, this is really bad. And then he started talking about abortion. And then he was talking about like bombing abortion clinics and protesting abortion clinics.
Where was it at? In California?
Yeah. And I was just like sitting there, my eye, and again, I was totally, left wing, like, punk rock kid, that kind of stuff. So already, like, I'm like, you're talking about bombing abortion clinics, you psycho?
Yeah.
And so that was enough for me. And I was like, I'm done. It was one of the worst church experiences ever. I can tolerate a lot of stuff, and I'm polite to a fault. But when she went running after me, she's like, "How'd you like it?" And I was like,
Never again,
you crazy woman." And I broke up with her. Anyways, let's talk about the podcast that will never make air. Not that this is really important stuff, but me and you sat down a couple weeks ago, and we recorded a podcast about an hour and a half long, like we usually go. And I was so sick. Well, not sick like as in like I'm on death's bed, but my nose.
You were just drippy.
I was
Very
drippy.
Yeah.
My nose would not stop running.
If you were a rapper, your name would be a little drippy.
Little drips?
Yeah, no, just a little drippy. Little drippy.
Little drippy. So that podcast will never see the light of day. Because I literally had to go off camera and either pick my nose or blow my nose or stop. Or it was, and I was watching it back and I was like, this is awful.
Yeah.
I mean, usually our stuff's not great. I mean, I think it's great, but I was like, this can never see air. So that podcast will never see air. This one, I already know will, because I feel really good because I've been working out again.
Oh, good for you.
I've been working out.
My diet has taken a huge turn for the worse recently.
Really?
Yeah.
Chicken and rice, dude. That's all I eat.
Yeah.
Or anything with white rice.
Well, I usually have that, but it's got wrapped in a tortilla with like nacho cheese and beans, and I bought it for like 99 cents at Taco Bell. I mean, like that's been my diet recently. So, yeah, I've not even taken like. Have you had maca powder before?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I'm
all about like supplementation and protein and shakes and powders, and yeah, I'm all about that.
Maca powder is pretty legit.
It is.
I like taking it. It just gives me that little like. Not like there it is, but like just a little throughout the day. It's like you have a little bit more testosterone than normal. I can tell you have just a little bit more testosterone, and so it's nice. And I haven't been taking it, and so I.
What do you mix it in?
I have found there's not one single thing that you can mix it in to hide the taste. So you just gotta tea normally.
Okay.
But like.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, it's potent.
Yeah, you're just like, I just got to suffer through the last part of that drink, whatever, because I cannot get it to mix with anything. Like, and the amount of effort that it would take for me to get it to mix, I'm just like, I don't care. I'm just gonna drink it at the end. Yeah.
I mean, that's the way I am with medicine or anything that doesn't taste good. I'm like, just suffer through it. Who cares?
Yeah, and that's kind of my wife said that to my daughter the other day because my daughter has a long-standing saga with bowel issues, and we've been giving her milk of magnesia.
Oh,
and she
we're
hates
there now,
it.
huh?
Yeah. Well, we're actually have to go see a specialist, and we have an appointment and everything. It'll be all right. It's actually fairly common. What's going on with her?
Right.
My sweet, lovely, wonderful other daughter, besides Matrona Xenia, is having, and so we were talking to her, she's 4.5, and we were telling her about milk and magnesium. She's like, but I hate the taste. I was like, real medicine's not supposed to taste good. That's why we only take it when we need it, you know, like, because otherwise, if it tastes yummy, you want to take it all the time. And then before you know it, you're just taking like NyQuil every night, and then Dayquil to wake up the next day.
That's an analogy for the church.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. The bitter medicine. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
I'm not breaking any new ground, am I? You've heard this before.
Well, I mean...
I got this idea.
Gabe,
what you just said.
Gabe's like, well, this will probably get me through one Toll House. Like, for this right here will get me through one Toll House. But no, I mean...
This idea. It's crazy. Follow me.
Yeah.
The church is medicine. Therefore, it can't be tasty all the time.
No, it can't. In fact, by nature, it can't be.
Wow.
It has to hurt. Because if it doesn't hurt, then And it's especially got to hurt now when we as Americans live in a society that's so obsessed with not hurting. Like, we don't want to hurt, or we want to hurt in a very specific, comfortable, nice way.
Whatever gets you attention, right?
Yeah, no, for real. I mean, for real. I mean, yeah, I won't rant about that, but it is what it is. It is what it is. It's bad though. I don't, I live in kind of a bubble. Yeah. Like, for real. And, like, I don't know how bad it is a lot of the times. And I'm not even one of these guys that's like, it's worse now than ever. Because I used to hate it when people said that. Because I'd be like, that, like, in times of our history, people used to pay money to go sit and watch people beat other people to death. Yeah. Like, this is not the worst time we've lived in, you know? But it kind of is one of the worst times to live in right now. It's pretty bad.
It's what your metric is of what the worst time ever is. Because I would say, I can only speak from my experience. I would say that things have been progressively getting worse from the 80s. That's all I can say. Yeah. Whether it's and mostly I'm speaking about the worldly experience of socially.
I would maybe say the 60s, don't you think?
But I wasn't alive in the 60s. I said I can only speak from
personal experience.
Personal experience. I can say that the 80s was X-way, 90s, 2000s. Sure. And all the way up till now, I'm like, we live in a world that I don't understand. Yeah. That I truly don't understand.
What does sus mean, do you think?
I have no idea.
I have no idea. I've heard a lot of people say, it's like, man, that guy's sus. And I'm like, I don't know what that means.
Oh, like sketchy?
Maybe suspect. I don't know.
Suspect.
Maybe.
Because everyone shortens words now, so it's suspect. I know it.
Yeah. Hold on. Keep talking. I'm going to look it up.
I was going to say, someone's got to Google this. If you know what sus means before Andrew can find it, leave it in the comments. I wonder if...
Yeah, we got it in one. We got it in one. It just means acting suspicious. Heck yeah. I thought it maybe had something to do with Among Us. The game? Yeah. I don't know. I thought it was slang from Among Us because the whole game is trying to figure out who did it.
I mean, at this point, I'm going to say whatever, yeah.
I think, because again, I've never played it. Like, I've never once played that game.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I don't think I have either. Yeah. Is it that... I don't even want to talk about it.
Yeah, it's like the little ones with, like, the spacesuits, and it's like one of them killed another person.
Oh, yeah.
To figure out who the other one is. Yeah. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. So, I think I've heard about it, but I've never had the desire to play.
I mean, no. I mean, I've been out of the video game world for a little while, so...
Which, again, like, even with... I mean, there's so many, things that I see on a daily basis, from kids shows, obviously for my daughter, to, I've been doing this thing recently where I've become this internet person that I don't like, which is like, I'll scroll through funny videos and stuff. And I'm like, oh man, I'm becoming my wife. And I mean that because she watches a lot of, she always shows me memes and stuff. And I'm like, stupid, get that out of my face kind of thing. Sure. But I've been like really like one of the things I hate scroll. I don't doom scroll. I hate scroll. I want to find things that piss me off.
Oh, I thought you were going to name a particular app, and I was going to see if it was the same one that I had looked at.
Oh, well, Instagram, obviously.
Oh, yeah, I don't have any of that stuff. No, Nextdoor app.
Oh, yeah, Nextdoor is awful.
Dude, it's so good, man. It's dude. I can't make this stuff up. Oh, like, no, I take pictures of people's profile pictures. It's like this requirement on Nextdoor app that your picture has to be like you from like a group photo, but like zoomed in really. Yeah. And so like the pixels are really, so like your smile is like 3 pixels. It's like...
My impression from Nextdoor, and correct me if I'm wrong, is... Old people, drug addicts.
Old people, drug addicts, and entitled millennials.
Ooh.
I cannot tell you how many people be like, please do not approach my dog. Okay, he has PTSD. Okay, and oftentimes people assume his gender.
Shut up. You've seen that on...
No, the last one is. But I have seen the PTSD thing.
Oh, I'm sure.
It's like...
Everyone has PTSD now.
Well, yeah, if everyone does, then no one does.
I have PTSD.
I mean, sure.
Making this
you have PTSD, and you have PTSD.
Making this podcast is giving me PTSD.
It's all like hipsters who live in like the Plaza or West 39th area, you know.
Oh, I heard the Plaza. I've actually heard about the Plaza one. It's awful.
It's like, it's really, really, and like a lot of times, like, I can't think of like a really good example of a really bonkers one, but like, I post all the time on Nextdoor app. Like
Do you? Are you on the Raytown one or?
Yeah, I'm on a couple different areas of Kansas City. Like
man.
it's pretty happening. Like I get a
The Raytown one must be wild.
Actually the Raytown one is not as crazy as like West Side Kansas City. Like that one is absolutely. It's like because it gets some of Midtown, and the Midtown is insane. Like it's just so like I don't even know. Like, some people have to, like, take a giant, like, Whippet can, you know? Like, they got, and, like, just, like, douse the whole thing and then go on and, like, rant about, like, their neighbor's, like, shovel being left out in their yard. It's bonkers. It's absolutely
Becky
bonkers.
used to tell me about the Hyde Park one. And she said the Hyde Park one is wild.
I don't even think I could do that.
Like,
I think that would make me mad.
Like, people just, like... Oh yeah, you know, to the lady walking your dog.
Oh my gosh.
You know, have you ever thought about like not shocking your dog or what? Like
that's literally what it is.
Yeah.
That is literally like that stuff is.
So do they think that this person's gonna read that and then just be like, you know what? I'm the lady walking the dog.
Here's the bonkers. I've seen people do that. I've seen people like that was me, and yeah, I do, and it devolves. Like I've seen the most mundane things being like, hey, is anybody's like mail not getting delivered? Devolve into like full on political debates.
Wow.
No, I've seriously seen it.
I would do that. So you shouldn't have told me that because now I'm gonna look it up so I can scroll.
But bro, here's the thing: is you've got to reply to people. It is so good, and like, I don't know, like sometimes I'll just be like, sounds good, and like just. I don't know, like in the context, like I went in this whole thing the other day. I was like, if someone was like, I'm afraid that thing. Oh yeah, I was talking about things are worse than ever, and I was talking about like nobody disciplines their kids anymore, and people kept talking about fear, and then I did this like all caps post. It's like you don't know fear. It's like you don't know fear. But when the great Lord Crimlore returns, you will. I was like, and everyone was like, what is going on? It's like, if you have to ask, you don't get it.
Yeah.
But it was like, man, and this is what always happens with Nextdoor app, and I'll tell you that right now, is I end up making make me laugh to like my wife, everyone around me is like, I don't get why this is funny, and I'm like, I am dying over here. I'm having a great time with Nextdoor, and I don't plan on getting off of it anytime soon. I actually just changed my. Have you ever seen the old Golden Corral training videos with like the meat? Oh man, you gotta check these out. Like it's this guy from the 80s. It's like an 80s training video from Golden Corral about the meat cutting station. This most awkward guy that like. There's like parts where he's like trying to make conversation with people. He's like, how's the weather out there? And he's like, did you see the game last? It's like the most, and I changed my profile picture to his face.
So
it's a hoot.
So you go on trolling people.
Okay, Maggie calls it a troll, and I don't think it's a troll because I'm not meaning to hurt anybody's feelings.
Well, like, trolling doesn't necessarily have to hurt someone's feelings.
I always kind of had trolling as this idea of it. You're being sarcastic to the point where you're hurting someone's feelings.
No, trolling is just giving people shit.
Oh, yeah.
Swear jar.
Yeah. So then, yes, I do troll.
Every time I do
that.
Yeah, I actually look up martial. There's this, I forgot the name of it. I should look it up on Instagram. It's all about like real bad martial arts.
Oh.
Like, because let me tell you, I took a lot of martial arts when I was a kid.
Okay.
And I am a fan of MMA, and obviously I'm in the pro wrestling business, so there is a fight fan in me somewhere. Sure. But man, like my brother, me and my brother have this long-standing argument about Steven Seagal.
Okay, that dude farts a lot.
Does he?
Oh yeah, that's a joke. Because supposedly he like has really bad problems controlling his farts. So like he'll be doing stuff and just fart. Dude. Yeah.
I've done a lot of research on Steven Seagal, including he's a musician and he plays the blues, and it's terrible.
Have you ever seen any of his self-made movies?
No. Are we talking about the same guy?
Steven Seagal, yeah.
He self-makes movies?
Yeah, he has like his own production company.
That's. I thought you meant like on a camcorder.
Well, it's not much better than that. Like for real, like he's always like the amazing like special ops dude that they have to pull back.
Yeah, of course. I mean, that's the way all of his movies were. But
there's this movies where I know, but he like where he gets the girl in the end, and in the end there's like a gross scene, but he like never takes off his like heavily leather jacket because he's not in good shape anymore.
No, he's obese.
Yeah, exactly.
He's like literally obese. So he's a master of Aikido, and he legitimately is.
Yeah, I bet. In the 80s, probably. In the 80s.
Well, I don't think you ever stopped being a master of Aikido.
I mean, I think I could probably take him now. I mean, I could probably take Steve.
Yeah, I mean...
At what point do you stop being a master?
But Aikido is like joint manipulation, and they flip over and stuff.
Sure.
But the guys that he's working with in these Aikido demonstrations obviously know how to fall. They're Aikido practitioners themselves. Okay. It looks like pro wrestling. I'm like, that's fake. Yeah. I can spot a carny from a mile away because I work in pro wrestling. So I'm like, oh, that's a carny. That guy's trying to pull one over on us. Because in pro wrestling, we're pulling one over on everybody all the time.
Sure.
So Aikido, me and my brother, I'm like, Dan, it's garbage. It's a garbage martial art.
Yeah.
No one's going to just walk at you and you go like this and then flip them over and then
they just happen to know exactly.
Right. Yeah. I'm like, it's garbage. Like, the only martial art I think is worth anything is jiu-jitsu and probably Muay Thai. Because then you get to elbow strike and kick people into oblivion. That's great. Fine. But like there's this back to this Instagram thing. There is like literally an Instagram for like, you know, the guys that do chi strikes.
Yeah.
And then like the guy will be like, ah, and then the guys like fall back and stuff. And these are like legitimate people like striking or like doing like weird martial arts stuff, and it makes me laugh.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm probably the only guy in the world sitting on his phone going, that's fake. Like, what am I doing?
I mean, have you heard of Sam Hyde?
Yeah.
The comedian? Yeah, that's all he does. He has like whole sections of videos where him and his buddy Nick just like watch. He's like, yeah, there's no way that's real. Like, oh, that's fake. Yeah, that's so fake. Like, I don't know. I think hate scrolling. What's his name? Who's that shock jock dude?
Howard Stern?
Howard Stern talked about like...
what happened to him?
I don't know. He's super woke now.
Oh, super woke. He turned into the exact thing that he hated all throughout his career.
I don't know anything about this guy. I don't know anything about him. But he did talk about how, like, half the people listened to him because they hated him.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, so that's the hate listening is probably just transferred over to hate scrolling now. Because there are some, like, I don't so much do it anymore, but there's like, feminist gets owned.
I do that too. Oh my God, I was doing that today.
I don't really do it anymore because it makes me mad. And like a lot of the times, like I kind of side with the feminists. Like I'm not a feminist by any stretch of the imagination.
You are in pink light though.
Okay, maybe that will play well with that demographic then.
My mom watches this, so she's probably crying right now. She's like, I thought you were a feminist, Gabe.
Oh, yeah. That's always a hard conversation to have, but...
We'll talk later, Mom. Don't worry about it. I got you.
I'm not a feminist by any stretch of the imagination, but, like, I'm also, like, not always buying what those dudes that supposedly own them are selling.
Yeah.
And it's just like...
Well, it's always edited in a weird way. It's really choppy because they have to get it in then like they 60 cut it seconds.
They cut it off right as soon as, like... the insult to the feminist happens.
Right.
I'm like, but there could have been a whole debate after that in which they end up like reconciling and talking. Like, I don't
I think the same stuff.
Yeah, and so because you're an Orthodox Christian, you want to see reconciliation rather than just like argument.
You're right.
Because argument, nothing productive happens.
Nothing.
I mean, Elder Thaddeus actually talks about like when you debate someone, you're actually, if you have true discernment, you'll just see that's the spirit of the age that you're arguing with, and you're just creating a bunch of tension by arguing with them. So like,
yeah.
You know, like she'll never watch it, but you know, I'll talk about my gay communist sister. Mm-hmm. Like I love my gay communist sister. You know, like I do not agree with a lot of the stuff that she stands for, and I hear her saying some whack stuff to my kids sometimes. But like I still love her. You know, like there's nothing that's gonna change that.
Right.
So like, it is what it is. But like at the same time, like I don't want it. as much as I fantasize sometimes about saying the perfect thing to shut her down.
Yeah, I do that too.
Even then, like, if I said that thing and nailed it, I would probably feel terrible afterwards.
Totally.
Like, and I wouldn't want to, like, I would want to apologize, you know?
I mean, half of the people I follow on Instagram or Facebook literally do not share a fraction of my worldview.
Yeah.
Not even like a little bit.
Sure.
And that's why, and it's so weird. Like, I got over it years ago, but I used to like hesitate to put like "God is good" on my on my once a year Facebook post.
Yeah, for real.
You know what I mean? Because I didn't know how people were gonna react, and I'm like, why do I give a care?
Yeah, you shouldn't.
Yeah, I don't anymore.
Yeah.
I'm like, whatever. Like, I mean, but that just comes with age, where I'm like, I literally know now that social media means nothing. Oh. It's literally nothing. Like, I'm very, thank God my wife is too, but we're very strict about like pictures of our daughter.
Oh, good.
Dude.
Yeah.
Nothing will drive me crazy quicker than people that literally document every fraction of every second. Not only do they document for themselves, they post it to the world.
It's disgusting.
And it really is. Like,
yeah.
And I totally believe in this, in the science of, when you're documenting everything, you're ruining your memory.
Yeah, it's
like some things I just want to hold here. Like, I don't have to take, dude. I can show you my phone right now. I have 20 pictures of my daughter, roughly.
Yeah, I have a lot more than that of your daughter. No,
you're like at church. You're like, but I have 20 pictures of my daughter and maybe 8 videos. And it's not, but it's more because I'm enjoying being with her in the moment. And I don't look down on people that take, my wife has 1,000 pictures of my daughter.
Well, and messes with the kids too, because at a certain point they start performing when they see the phone up.
Right.
Then they'll start doing cute stuff.
Oh, dude.
And I'm like, that's kind of messed up. I can see the effect on you.
Dude, my daughter already does the whole, like, when we're on if I'm holding her, I'm like answering the phone, checking the voicemail, whatever. She already does the whole, like, she tries to touch it.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like,
my
son
kids are
of
obsessed
a
with
gun.
the phone. It's the age we live in. We have to take a sober world view about it.
I know.
It's like the same thing with screen time.
Yep.
You can't, like, completely eliminate it right now.
Talked about, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
You can't completely eliminate it right now. But you also, like, can't let them go overboard. So it is. I can tell you one thing. One day I went on YouTube and I looked up the Smiths because I wanted to listen to the popular indie British alt band, the Smiths.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a family out there called the Smiths, who that's their thing. They have a whole YouTube channel about their life living on a farm in rural somewhere, and it is bleak. It is like everybody suddenly has the tools to create their own reality television show, and they act accordingly. Like, so those videos, right, of like couples dancing, like doing like a choreographed dance. I'm like, all I can think about when I see videos like that is just like one of the outtakes is like they're doing it and then the husband like freaks out saying, no, it's 5, 6, 7, 8. You have to twirl on the 8. And like she's like, I'm sorry. Like, and then they have to like start it over and do it over again. I'm like, that is bleak, because there are outtakes where you see like the dude or the girl flip out on the other person because they don't do the dance correctly. I'm like, so you guys have to take like a large chunk of your life and set it aside in order to get this TikTok video down so that you can get, like, maybe, best case scenario, some likes. Like, and that's best case scenario, is like you get like 2,000, 3,000, 100,000 likes or whatever, or rewatches, and then suddenly you're just like, that's the highlight of your day. It's an invisible, meaningless currency that doesn't mean anything.
I mean, speaking of that kind of thing, like
speaking of Bitcoin.
I'm just kidding.
I don't know.
So like I'm a YouTuber, right? I have a YouTube channel for my real estate business.
Nice. Plug it.
No. But there is
wrestling with realty.
No, it's not anymore.
Oh.
I rebranded.
Yes.
Because everybody does those same videos. Anyways, there's shame in being a YouTuber for me.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I've knocked over lights. I've helped people move here from my YouTube channel. I've made money from it.
Sure.
So I don't regret it. But there is a healthy amount of like, what am I doing? Like, what am I doing? Even like with this,
I ask that about you all the time.
Yeah,
like,
I'm sure.
No, I'm just kidding, Gabe.
I mean, like, but even with this, it's like I want to do this particular thing because I just want to have fun with you, and there's no other medium to put it out.
No. Well, no. I mean,
And we're not putting all of our eggs in a basket. We're not sitting there going, oh, we're going to be rich off of this. We have 7 subscribers. 7.
What's up?
The needle hasn't moved since we started.
There's 7 members of the Justice League.
Well, then we're good, dude.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Let's just call it a day.
Who's your favorite member of the Justice League, do you think? Not Batman. Because that's everyone's favorite. But besides Batman.
Namor? Is Namor part of the Justice League?
All right. Moving on. No.
Wonder Woman.
Okay. Sure. I mean, if that's
Wonder
your
Woman?
thing. Whatever. It's your thing.
Ghost Rider?
Ghost Rider. Yeah, I mean,
I don't know. I don't remember who's in the Justice League.
We got Green Lantern.
Okay.
We got Aquaman.
Nope.
Okay. I was gonna say that's probably my favorite.
Yeah.
We got Flash. Then
Flash.
We got Flash. Okay. Yeah, Flash and Batman's like everyone's favorite. That's good.
I didn't like Flash until I saw the CW show.
The CW show is solid.
I loved it.
Except, it is what it is. Barry Allen is not my Flash. Wally West is my Flash. Wally West was the Flash from like the 80s to the 90s into the early aughts. And I grew up with, or I like that Flash.
I dug your comics out, by the way. I have your comics. They're here somewhere.
I'm not worried about it, but I'm just saying. But
I really like the Arrow show on CW.
Oh, I can't stand that show. I thought it was awful. It
got bad after 4 seasons for me.
I thought they did not know what to do with it.
And I love Deathstroke.
Deathstroke is okay. He's
like a cheap Punisher. It's fun.
Yeah, but there's literally a scene where they're walking the beach and the actor stumbles and almost falls, but you could tell they're like, I don't care.
They're just leave it in.
Just leave it in. It doesn't matter.
He's in a pro wrestling show now too.
The actor who plays Deathstroke?
No,
Steve Amell.
Steve Amell. And he's actually wrestled.
No, he's been I think. Correct me, maybe he has been a wrestler, right? He's
actually performed in a professional wrestling ring, and he makes a show called Heels, and it's actually pretty damn good.
No, that's a swear, but so you are too. But no, he's a legit dude. I have no problem with that. I just didn't think the writing on that show was very good, and I won't get into a whole thing here, except I will because it's partly my podcast. I don't care. I'm going to talk about what I want to talk about. Yeah. That is not the Green Arrow. The Green Arrow is not that character. In the show, he's dour and dark. That is not Green Arrow.
No, you're right. Because that comic you let me borrow, the Green Arrow,
he's fun.
Totally.
He's a loudmouth, angry liberal.
Yep.
And there's a whole episode.
You're totally right.
That talks about gun control, and Arrow. It's when Arrow is spoiler for a show that's been out for 15 years, but he becomes the mayor.
Yeah.
And then he's
I stopped watching.
Yeah, he was like, yeah, well, we have to figure out where we stand on this issue. He's like, no. Oliver Queen is fiercely anti-gun. That's why he uses a bow and arrow. I mean, that's his whole thing. And one of his sidekicks, I can't remember which one because there's been a lot of them and they all interchange because the canon's not established. I don't know. He's not my favorite character. Roy Harper, I think it is Roy Harper becomes, what's his
the Red
name? It's not the Red Hood. He becomes, has something to do with guns. I can't remember. It's not Onslaught. It's something like that. I can't remember. Right. I gotta stop thinking about it. And he starts using guns as a way of rebelling. I don't know if it is a way of rebelling. That's always kind of how I took it, as a way of rebelling against Oliver Queen.
Right.
So that makes it. And by the way, Aquaman is amazing. I absolutely love Aquaman. He is a great character, and people always give him the runaround because of the show from the 70s. He is the king of the freaking ocean.
That's rad.
He's King Arthur. He's destined to. He is literally. His name is Arthur. Arthur Curry. He holds the golden trident, the chosen weapon, and he can command.
Does Excalibur kind of?
Yeah.
Okay.
He can command the freaking Kraken. Have you seen the movie
with
Jason Momoa?
I loved it.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
I loved it.
He's that giant Kraken. He's has at the end. It's fantastic.
I thought it was super entertaining, and and that's what a superhero movie should be.
You know, his first line is from that movie, and from the moment I saw it, I was like, "This is my movie." is he like jumps down the submarine because he's like got to fight the terrorists at the beginning, and he like in his back to the camera, and he stands up and he turns back and says permission to come aboard. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna love this.
You're
movie.
like, yep,
I'm gonna
I'm in.
love this movie.
I'm in.
There's like a Pitbull song in the middle of it, like back when people still did that for movies. Like Pitbull specifically wrote a song for the movie, and they played it in the middle of it. I was like, this is brilliant. Like, I love this movie. So
I have a feeling that if we went and saw Avatar: Way of the Water, it would be a completely different response.
You see my mood fall when
Dude,
you mentioned that. I was talking.
It was like Bitcoin crashing.
There you go. That's twice we slammed Bitcoin. But no, like, I could not give a crap less about the Avatar franchise. It is so
It's
dumb.
It's
like
awful.
It's like it's beautifully, visually beautiful.
Right.
I cannot knock it. It's obviously an incredible work of technology, but I just could not give a crap less about that. I could have sworn this movie already came out and went. The second movie. I was like, if you had told me, oh yeah, the sequel came out in 2015,
You'd be like, okay, sounds about right.
Yeah, that tracks. What are we doing for lunch? Like,
I mean, but James Cameron did some really good movies.
Terminator's great.
Terminator 2 is fantastic.
I just showed my wife that movie not too long
Really?
ago. Yeah,
What'd
she
you
didn't
think?
really like it.
Really?
You missed the window. You've missed the window. If
Is
you
it
haven't seen-
dated?
Yeah, it is. It's totally dated, and
He goes down into the lava. Spoiler alert
Yeah,
for
he
those of
goes
you that
down
haven't
into the lava.
seen.
and like it's a good.
Too.
But it was nostalgia. You know,
Yeah.
if you haven't seen it by the time you're 15 years old, I don't know if you're really gonna like it.
Okay.
You know, or you didn't grow up in the 80s because it was so 80s. It's such an 80s. Like they're just shooting everybody.
Oh yeah,
no
indiscriminate.
regard for human
Yeah,
life.
yeah.
Like
Yeah,
that
yeah.
is totally the 80s. Like they're just like there's like a flower delivery dude or like just like some delivery guy. He's like, hey chief, and just like shoots him with a gun like 6 times. I'm like, okay, well that's a widow, you know. Like,
Or like the when Ed.209, not Ed.209, it's from Robocop. I was just thinking about Robocop when you were talking.
Robocop is sweet too.
Oh, it's so good. It's so
Dude, that movie is so dark. Like the second one where it shows the failed Robocops.
Oh,
and
dude.
they're like shooting themselves in the head
Yeah.
and stuff like that. I'm like, goodness gracious.
The second one has a kid doing drugs.
Oh.
They were doing nuke and injecting. The kid was doing nuke and inject. He was like a little crime boss. That movie is so dark. Part 1 is really dark too. But and by the way, did you know that movie was originally rated X because of the violence?
No.
The only movie ever to be so violent it was rated X.
Man, from like trying to think back, it's been a long. I actually just tried to find where to stream it, and I couldn't find it anywhere.
I'll send you a link.
Okay. Oh yeah, that's right. Because I wanted to rewatch it. I was like,
Oh, dude, that first scene where Ed.209 blows away that guy in the boardroom, he's literally has like squibs, which are blood packets,
Yeah.
because it wasn't CGI back then. He has to have like trash bags strapped to him because
Wow.
the blood is exploding
Man.
like off of him like a fountain. And
when they demonstrate the robot or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the guy's like, I already dropped the gun. And Ed 209's like, bah, 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 and blows him away. What were we talking about?
That's coming. You know what movie I just have on in the background? Every once in a while I find a movie like this, and it's usually a long movie where I'll just have it on in the background while I like doing case notes or whatever, or just whatever, is The Batman. I cannot stop watching that movie.
I know, you've seen that
watched it.
movie a lot.
I have. I think last night I started watching it again with my wife, and that might have been like my 6th or 7th time seeing it. And it's
I was going to say more than that. I was going to say, I know that when it first came out, you at least saw it 2 or 3 times.
I saw it once in theaters, and then every time since then it's been streaming.
Okay.
But like, I would absolutely buy that movie in a heartbeat. And if it goes off streaming or whatever.
So goth.
I love.
It is the
and I
gothiest Batman ever.
I listen to the soundtrack, and I get pumped when I hear it. 'Cause
it's a great
like,
soundtrack.
That down, 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 down. It's just like, it's just.
Dude,
Batman.
that cover of Something in the Way.
Dude.
I
don't.
I knew I was in that movie when that song came on at the kind of towards the beginning,
Sure.
and I was just like sold. I was like, whatever's going to happen the rest of the time, I'm in.
I'll tell you when I was sold. At the very beginning, even before Nirvana comes on, which is a great song, and like now I love that song even more than I did
it's so good.
because of the Batman. But like the part at the beginning where it shows like the 3 different crimes committing. They keep like going back and forth between these 3 different crimes. It's one dude robbing a convenience store, and other people like trashing a bank, and then the clown crime or whatever is chasing that dude down the sub or in the trains or whatever. And every time it does this thing where like the criminals keep looking at the shadows. Because they look up and see the bat signal, and then they look at the shadows, and then they like all start like backing up and stuff like that, and then you hear Bruce talking, like the narration, and he's like, "Fear's a tool," and I was like, right. Matt Reeves, the dude who directed it, I was like, gets Batman. I was like, right away, he gets Batman. Right. Like this movie, he understands what Batman is, and I don't think Christopher Nolan's really did. Christopher Nolan is whatever. I'm not crazy about that trilogy, but anyway.
I didn't flinch when they said Robert Pattinson was going to be Batman. Not once. I was like, who cares? I don't care if he did all
Twilight.
Yeah. Because I never watched him, so I never had a warped perception of him anyways.
I never have either. If anything, I was just like, he's probably a tool because he's doing a bunch of indie movies now. He's probably getting really full of himself, but I don't know if that's the case now. I don't really know anything about the guy whatsoever.
Right.
But as soon as that trailer came out, and then he's like, "What are you supposed to be?" And he just beats the crap out of that clown dude. I was like, "I'm in." And then when Penguin's like, "This guy's crazy," you see like explosions in the best Batmobile.
Oh, dude, by far,
best Batmobile. By far. And like that part where in the movie, and I know I'm ranting about a movie that probably no one really cares about, but like the part in the movie where they all stop. There's like, and then they all like look. He revs the Batmobile for the first time, and you hear like the engine coming online.
Yeah.
And then like everyone just stops. Like the Penguin stops and look, and then Catwoman stops and look, and then you just see it there. That song and the soundtrack is like incredible.
Yeah.
Like absolutely incredible. It's like cheesy. I don't know. It's so.
I like the fact that they showed the nature of Bruce Wayne, which hasn't been tackled a lot in any of the movies. His obsessive.
Yeah, for real.
Vengeance thing.
Yeah. No.
Vengeance, justice, whatever you want to call it. They made him like not. I was gonna say narcoleptics. It's not that. But they made him like basically just a guy, like almost like a graveyard shift worker.
Oh yeah,
like just like he's beaten up and just
like almost like
sickly.
Yeah, 100%.
Because he's obsessed.
He just doesn't care. This is the only thing he has.
It's the only thing that he has. He's let everything else go in his life except for that. And I was just like, dude, that's
when I saw what Matt Reeves talked about what he was reading to prepare for this movie. Mm-hmm. He talked about Dark Knight Returns and then Batman Year One and like I think like The Long Halloween, which if you ask me is not that great of a story. But then he read Batman Ego by Darwin Cook. And when he read Batman Ego by Darwin Cook, I was like, now that is a comic you would kind of have to know about comics to read. Mm-hmm. And this whole thing where basically Bruce Wayne, Darwin Cook, may God grant him the kingdom, like he did this whole story about Batman basically finding a criminal who lost his entire family due to Batman's actions. Like Batman fought the Joker, and the Joker ended up like blowing something up and it killed his whole family or something like that.
Wow.
And he just stands on top of the bridge like, you have nothing to beat me with, and he just shoots himself. He's like, you have nothing to give me. Like, this is the end of our relationship right here. I'm a criminal. You're going to chase me now, but set me in Gotham or in the Arkham, and I'm going to break you. No. And he just shoots himself. And Batman basically goes through this whole existential crisis in his cave where like the bat figure, the cowl, becomes like animate. And he starts talking with the thing, and the demons basically, because that's what it is basically like, I give you power. I gave you the task of like completing your vengeance. And I was like, oh my gosh, if he's reading this movie's gonna be buck wild.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I thought it was fantastic.
Hey, all in all, it's a pretty good movie.
It's all right.
Yeah,
that's
all
right.
I'm gonna say about that.
Would you? Okay, here's a back on topic of kids and everything. Well, not really. We don't have a topic. I think I'm realizing that this is evolving into whatever the heck we want. Dang it.
Yeah.
How old would your daughter have to be to watch the
Batman? She would have to be double digits. Without a doubt.
But like, there's a big difference between 10 and 13 even. What are we talking about?
I would say probably closer to 13, 12 or 13.
Okay.
My son, who loves superheroes, is scared of Batman. And I've tried explaining to him.
Right.
He looks like a bad guy because he wants to look like a bad guy because he wants to scare bad guys.
Right.
He does not get it. Like just the other day at Walmart, I showed him a Batman figure, and he was like like kind of he likes Spider-Man. He wants Spider-Man.
Spider-Man's friendly.
So neighborhood,
colorful.
Friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. You know,
and those movies are good too.
Oh my, yeah. Okay, don't get me started.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm just saying those movies are good too. So you're saying double digits.
No Way Home is one of the greatest movies of all time.
I love that movie.
I love. It's a love letter to Spider-Man, and I love Spider-Man.
Yeah.
So yes, double digits. probably not that movie. Spider-Man, they'd probably be 8 to 10.
I was gonna say
like that.
yeah.
Something like
that.
A
lot easier, a lot more palatable.
100%.
Yeah, a lot more fun, swashbuckling action. Not some dark concepts that you're gonna have to be like, listen.
This is gonna be difficult.
This is about obsession.
Yeah. So his parents were murdered in front of him.
Right.
Well, there's that scene where someone does die, so I would have to probably be conscious of that. But how
old does your daughter have to be to watch Robocop? 45.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, that she's probably never going to watch that movie because wouldn't be that great to her in the first place. She probably wouldn't like it. It's just not. It's not anything that she'll ever really probably be interested in.
Obviously, when I thought about having kids, I was always like, man, I really want to have a son so I can show him all these stupid action movies because I feel like girls can't get action movies, which isn't true. Like my wife doesn't really like action movies. Anyways, I was thinking about this the other day and I was like, what movie? Because I started playing Eloise all my favorite like old school songs the other day. Okay. So I played her La Bamba.
Okay. Did she respond to him?
Yeah. And
she loved pretty early on what music they like.
Right. She loves music. And the other day I was playing Temple of the Dog and Pearl Jam. Wow. So
this is what music is.
Yeah, I was
this is when music was good.
Yeah, I was like, you listen, this is a song called Say Hello to Heaven. It's about a drug guy who overdosed, but don't listen to that part. But so I've been like going through all these like different like music. I played her the song that me and her mom danced to at our wedding and like things like that.
What song is that?
I Love You and I Don't Know What to Say by Ryan Adams.
Okay.
Anything. Wow. I'm a Ryan Adams.
That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that.
Except for he came out with literally 4 albums last year and it's annoying.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because he got canceled, and then he was just like...
Why did he get canceled?
Because he was a crappy boyfriend and a crappy husband.
Oh, yeah, that'll do it.
So he's an abuser.
Something he's an abuser.
Groomer or whatever.
Sure.
Anywho, so he gets canceled, and all he does now, he's sober too, so he has all this energy. Sure. So he just sits in his house and just records every whim he has, and not everything is good. The dude's prolific, but come on now. Anyways, so I've been playing her all this music. So I was thinking about movies. I was like, man, what are some of my favorite movies I've been playing for her? I'm like, I just like 80s and 90s, like trash.
Yeah.
And I was like, so I'm never going to be able to say like, do I want to show her Roadhouse with Patrick Swayze? 100%.
Yeah.
Do I want to show her Point Break with Patrick Swayze? 100%.
Yeah. Those are both movies I would show Louise.
Really?
Well, yeah. No, I mean, if she was interested, sure, why not? Like, especially Ruben.
I just don't think she'd be interested. Well, maybe the surfing movie because there's water and chicks.
I don't know. You're really reaching for an angle there. I tell you, she actually kind of just kind of got into Frozen like not too long ago. She's always liked it, but only recently she's been like, no, I'm about Frozen. Like I'm trying to watch Frozen, and I'm like, okay, this is fine, but this is kind of where this stops. Right. I don't want to go. I don't want a Disney fan in the house. I don't either. I don't want you getting into all the Disney stuff and wanting to go to Disney World or Disneyland or whatever. Yep. I don't want any of that. Like,
Daddy don't got that kind of money.
Well, I'm never gonna have that kind of money. I cannot just drop 10 G's on a vacation. I can tell you that much.
Right.
But like, she is. So I'm gonna try and guide her a little bit about that. And she likes Star Wars. She likes comic books. You know, like with the limited amount of comic books that we have, that we let her have, you know, she really likes reading them.
I mean, it's such a great medium.
And it's colors and it's, you know, like it's just like.
Is Andor really as good as everyone says?
I have not seen it.
Everyone tells me they're like, you don't like Star Wars. You're not a Star Wars guy. Watch this show. It transcends.
I've heard it. I'm excited to watch it. I haven't done it yet. Okay. I don't know why. I don't know. I'm excited to watch. I literally listened to a podcast, just a great podcast, by the way, where they watch 1 minute of Star Wars at a time, and then they discuss it. It's a great format.
That sounds like a nightmare for me.
I mean, you don't have to get into it. That's fine. But I'm saying this is the level of dedication I have to Star Wars. I love Star Wars.
I only listen to Orthodox podcasts.
Okay.
No, I'm just kidding. I do listen to a lot of Orthodox podcasts and pro wrestling podcasts. That's my diet.
Sure. Yeah.
I listen to this podcast called The Royal Path.
Oh,
and I listen to Buck Johnson a lot now because he's got a lot of Orthodox people on now, and I listen to a bunch of different podcasts. But yeah, I was just trying to. But anyways, back to what I was saying. I'm just trying to figure out like I'm more excited about the music aspect though. I can't wait for all systems to come online and me play her the Smiths. And she's just like,
that was actually,
oh, Dad, I want to listen to that again. And I'm going to be like, that's my girl.
My daughter loves Morrissey.
Ugh,
she sings Morrissey songs all the time. Like, her favorite is Last of the Gang to Die. Or First of the Gang to Die. Which is a great song.
Great song.
It's not my favorite, but it's a great song. But like, you know what song I sold my wife on Morrissey with? It was Every Day's Like Sunday.
Oh, it's a great song.
Like, I bought Viva Hate on vinyl.
And you have that on vinyl?
I do.
Man, I wish I had Viva Hate on vinyl.
Yeah. It's not that hard. Just it's on Amazon.
I know, I never
like
just
20
pick
bucks.
it up.
Yeah, no, I have like that. I have one of his newer ones, which is Low in High School, which I don't know if you've heard that one. Is a fantastic album. Well, the first half of it's good. And then I have User Refusal, and I have another one in there somewhere. I have a bunch of Smiths ones too. But I turned on, and Every Day Like Sunday came on, and I was like blasting it, and like my wife walked up to me later and she's like, I think I'm starting to get Morrissey, and like my jaw dropped because she's like,
there's nothing more attractive.
Morrissey, she hated Morrissey, and then like when she told me, she's like, I actually starting to think I'm gonna get into him. I'm like, wow. Now she's a hardcore Morrissey fan.
I dream of the day, literally dream of the day when my wife walks into the kitchen and she goes, honey, I like country music.
It's never going to happen, bro. It's never.
Is it because I like it?
Well, yeah, there's a lot of baggage there, without a doubt. I mean, I don't know your guys' marriage. I don't want to act like I know more than I do. What I can say is, like, my wife will never like technical death metal.
Do you like that band I sent you, by the way?
I listened to him for like 30 seconds this morning, and I was like, this is cool. This is thrash. This is hardcore. I can't do this right now.
Okay. I literally said it at 7:30.
7:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, this is cool. I can check this out. And I haven't listened to him since. I haven't really listened to anything today. So,
but that is a quote unquote turn on for me, is when you find that connection of something that you guys didn't know you had.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I always find that attractive about my wife. If I'm like, oh, I didn't know you liked that. That's like, because we've been married over 10 years. We've been together 12.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, oh, you still find out stuff about each other.
That's always neat.
Yeah.
Like if it's not metal, I can generally probably sell my wife on a musical artist.
Okay.
All the big ones I've gotten into recently, since kind of leaving the world of metal, to the degree that I have left it, I've got her into. And like, yeah, she likes Celine Dion. She likes Cher.
You just admitted that on a nationwide podcast.
Nationally syndicated podcast.
Nationally? I wish we were syndicated.
No, I do not, for one heartbeat. But I will say this, I will, if someone were to go out and buy like a My Heart Will Go On shirt, or like a Turn Back Time shirt, I would like absolutely wear it any day of the week. Like
Christmas. I got you, bro.
Yeah, I mean, I'm saying, like, I love those. I'm unabashedly unashamed.
You are.
I love female-driven arena rock. It's just awesome. It's just, like, it's powerful, good music. I don't know. I just love it. And both those artists are definitely, like... There's this video of Celine Dion coming out of a stage where she's, like, being raised up. And she's literally, like, standing like this. It's so powerful.
No, it's not.
It is, bro. It is.
She is an angular Canadian that drives me nuts.
She is, without a doubt, incredibly angular. And she's without a doubt, incredibly Canadian. She's very weird. And when I see interviews of her, but she's also, like, she speaks French. Like,
which is the grossest language on the planet.
It is pretty gross. I'm not a fan of the French language. But like
the one French subscriber we have right now is like
on click. Yeah. It just Oh, that's just like kind of done that. But anyway, Celine Dion's great. She's fantastic. Okay, I know I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Heart Will Go On. One take. I'm saying one take. And that song melted the heart of a nation.
Melted the heart of a nation.
I'm just saying it did.
Yeah, a nation
when that
full
flute
of...
when that flute comes on,
Shut up.
You're telling me you don't feel anything?
No, I don't. It's such a terrible song.
Are you kidding me? You know, I was talking
to accompany a terrible movie. That movie was awful.
Yeah, I've actually never seen that movie. I think I've seen it like once a long time
so
ago. And I don't really remember it. But
gives me a headache.
I was talking about this with Cyprian, and he was talking about how he used to live in Vegas, and he went to a Celine Dion show one time, and that song came on, and when it was like her standing from like a drape or whatever, you know, a drape or like a curtain. A curtain. Yeah, Thank you. Curtain is what I'm looking for. And when that song like climaxes, the curtain dropped. You thought the band and the choir was there, like because you saw like the guitars and stuff like that. But then when the choir dropped, when the curtain dropped, there's like this whole other choir behind her and stuff like that. And he said like he was like talking about it and getting chills, and she was like, "I know, I nailed that." I mean, like her face afterwards, she's like, "I know, I'm great." I know. I was like, you are great. You're the queen.
Thank you for listening to the Paredox podcast.
This is a really Andrew interest heavy episode, and I'm not apologizing for it.
Why? Let's not apologize for anything. Here's the thing. This is going to go one of two ways. We're either going to keep canceling because life is going to get in the way. We're going to keep canceling and not recording this show, or we're going to get maybe big. That's the only two paths.
No, probably what's really going to happen is I know I've predicted that we would get like maybe a couple hundred subscribers. We'll probably get like 67 subscribers, 67 to 72 subscribers, and that's where we will peak.
Or the soft middle.
Yeah.
And then what number would that be?
69. Nice. My second oldest daughter and I, Jada, whenever we see 69 out in the world, I'll just like take a picture and send it to her. She just sent me one tonight. Her change was exactly 69 cents. I'm always just like, nice. Because at this point, I don't even think it's not even a sex thing anymore. No. It's just like, nice.
It's literally a Beavis and Butthead thing.
Oh, yeah. It's like, well, you know, how she relates to is The Office. Oh, it's because of Kevin. He's like, I always like to keep the temperature at 69 degrees. Like, nice.
I love The Office.
It's okay. That's all right.
Yeah, but you like Seinfeld.
I don't like Seinfeld. I love Seinfeld. It's probably my favorite sitcom of all time.
Do you want to talk about anything Orthodox now? Or should we just wrap it?
I think we should just wrap it. Yeah, we should just wrap
it. This has been the best episode.
Just listen to the beginning.
Yeah.
If you want some Orthodox
stuff. If you want dad and Orthodox stuff.
Yeah. I mean, my
heart will go on.
Dude, man. There's a part in that song. There's like a part in that song where like she's like, it's like right before the climax, right before it like stops and the flute comes back, where like the backup singers say, "Why does the heart go on?" And it's like, it's so out of place. It doesn't make any sense. Like we need.
I blacked out. What?
We're paying you guys. You don't have to listen. I'm just gonna keep talking. We're paying you guys. We need to make sure you say something. And so they're like, "Why does the heart?" And it's like out of place, but it's incredible.
Did her molestar husband produce that song?
Okay, all right. Well, this is a contentious issue because, like, I think
she was 12 or 14.
Sure.
When they first met.
I'm not excusing any behavior, but that woman genuinely loved that man. Like, she was like, "This is my husband." Maybe
Stockholm syndrome.
Maybe. But you know what? One of the reasons also
what was his name? Francois or some shit?
I don't know.
Oh my gosh.
But one of the things that I love is a lot in some interviews that you hear, she measures everything by when her kids, and that's a huge like. That makes me like 2 or 3. Okay. But she was like, she's like, that would have been 97, so I would have been pregnant with my second son. You know, like she says stuff like that. Yeah. I'm like, I instantly trust her a lot more. I mean, like she's not a Christian. She openly is like does not like the Catholic faith. I'm not saying I back her as a person, but she's solid. She's solid. So
This has been the Paredox Podcast, aka Celine Dion Worship Hour. Or not worship. Featuring Andrew. Did you just try to light yourself on fire?
No, I forgot that I was being recorded.
Is that where we're headed now?
Yeah.
We're gonna light ourselves on fire.
I'd be like, maybe that will get Celine to finally notice me. I set myself on fire.
Oh, Celine, please notice. I don't know why your accent's like that. All right. Well, we have derailed here on the Paredox Podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe, or not, down at the bottom. And let a friend know that we are the only Orthodox podcast in North America, in the state of Missouri, and we're number one.
We're number one.
We're number one. We will see you next time right here.
Set up those very specific parameters. We're number one.
We're the best.
We're the best.
We're the best. Thank you to your our 7 subscribers. We will see you hopefully next week, as long as there's not a calamity of poop and or vomit. That's Andrew. I'm Gabe. We'll see you next time.